Hey everyone, welcome to GTM Secrets. Stephen Lowisz here. We talk about everything from RevOps to product marketing to general marketing, sales, you name it. Had a lot of very interesting people on. Today I have Div Manickam, who has a very interesting product marketing background. Div, I don't want to steal your thunder though. Do you mind sharing a little bit about yourself and some context on your background?
Sure, yeah. Hi, everyone. Super excited to be here. I'm Div Manickam. I'm a mentor, explorer, author, product marketing influencer. I use my explorer as my wild card. I love and I appreciate every part of product marketing, from thinking about the essence of product marketing, whether it's messaging, positioning, whether it's buyer persona, sales enablement, competitive intelligence, product launches, you name it, there isn't an area I haven't touched. And that has led to opportunities to share my experiences on my Substack, as well as teach product marketing with the Product Marketing Alliance. So super excited to be here to share some of the GTM secrets with you all.
All right, so little plug for yourself. What's your Substack?
Substack is just my name, so divmanickam.substack.com. Thank you.
All right, go check it out. How did you get into product marketing in the first place?
I would say a decade, 13 years ago, I stumbled upon this role called product marketing. At that point in time, I think it was still nascent. I'd like to think it's still nascent because you're still shaping it. But I wanted to find a spot and role where I could flex both my creative side and my technical side. So I have an engineering background, and I knew I didn't want to go program and code all my life. So product marketing became that sweet spot where you still were connected with technology. And a lot of my experience has been primarily B2B SaaS. And so this became that area where I could find the synergy between the two.
I ask almost everybody this that's in product marketing. How do you define product marketing versus marketing? Where is that line drawn?
I don't really draw a line because I say it's collaborative across the different marketing functions. But for me, product marketing is helping establish and understand the customer. So what their pain points are, who they are, why should we care about them? So think about this person as your quarterback if you are into sports. But this person, your product marketing leader or manager, is intended to help connect the dots between different teams. So whether you're working with demand generation, growth marketing folks, whether you're working with content marketing folks, whether you're working with events marketing folks, field marketing, brand, creative, all of these teams are intersections that I work with and I interlock in terms of collaboration. But then it's helping be that voice of your customer. It's being the voice of the market and positioning yourself as that advocate across the different teams. So whether it's product, whether it's marketing, whether it's sales, or even customer success for that matter.
Fair enough. So one of the things that I love talking about, obviously product marketing is part of go-to-market. A little more technical, but it's still go-to-market. Now, I've had people on here from startups like myself all the way up to Google and Microsoft. And everyone has a little bit different answers. So when you're going to market with a new product or function or what feature, whatever the case might be, how do you balance getting some short-term wins so that you keep faith of leadership, so that you see progress with long-term vision? How do you think about that?
I think that's our PMM dream, if you will, right? To launch a product, to see an idea grow from inception to reality into the market. I like to think that's your fireworks, your smiles and joys of making the impossible happen. And everyone's like giving you the kudos to it. But the reality is timelines will be delayed. Projects will go off track. Sometimes there's this constant go mode that you're in. So GTM for me is one of the challenging aspects of the function and the role itself. But then I also thrive in challenges. I like a good 0 to 1 problem to solve. So it's turning that chaos into a rhythm. GTM has 50% project management and then 50% getting that strategy to the execution, right? So getting alignment with your stakeholders, making sure you have the right GTM, right? The right time, the right product, the right market is important, because you could come up with an awesome product, but if it's not ready for the market, then your GTM is going to fail. making sure you're aligning with your teams, your stakeholders, right? Leadership is counting on you to make it happen. And so how do you kind of turn those things around, make the path that is ahead and make sure everybody believes the path ahead? You cannot get your GTM off the ground if it's just you trying to do the things. It's everybody within the company. And then how do you work against time, resources, budget to make this magic happen, right? So it's making sure you have all of those pieces aligned for your GTM. And once you get the secret sauce to it, it's also making sure you're orchestrating all of that, right? But like I said, the quarterback example for sports, for music, it's the orchestrator. So you're the one bringing all the teams together, making sure the launch is what it needs to be, still keeping that lens of the voice of the customer, the voice of the market. Because at the end of the day, if it doesn't resonate with your audience, it doesn't matter how you're segmenting your audience, right? You can think mid-market, SMB, enterprise, maybe industries that you're focused on. So these are all areas to tap into, right? Don't go say we solve everybody's problems. Figure out your niche, figure out what you can really solve, and then expand from there.
Now, I am an absolute culprit of building crap that nobody wants because I didn't interview my ICP enough. And what I thought they wanted because it was what I wanted. And 100 ICP interviews later, now we found product market fit.
Yeah.
How do you think about developing your ICP and segmenting it out? I mean, anyone can say, like at Soligo, you were probably targeting CIOs, CTOs, etc. Tell me if I'm wrong, but a CIO in financial services has different pain points than a CIO of a B2B SaaS startup, right? So how do you start to develop those and make them actionable?
So you are wrong. At Soligo, yes, that is one of our ICPs. But for the product that I was supporting, this was a data integration. So we focus on data warehouses. So my ICP was a chief data officer, a data architect, a BI analyst. So a different audience. But yes, your ICP varies depending on your product line and the market you're going after. For me, as I was thinking about where the opportunity is, right? Soligo is known as an application integration. And how do I take that same story and expand it to a data integration, data warehouses, considering the expansions that's happening in the market? So to really understand the dynamics, we wanted to really pay attention to the ICP. And so we did customer advisory council. So we did a product advisory council version of it where as we were building the product, we also interviewed and connected and spoke with our ICP. So these chief data officers, the BI analysts, the data folks that are there actually solving some of these challenges and really understand what their pain point is. Thankfully, we didn't have to do 100 interviews because we already saw the market need and we already saw that our customers were starting to use our product and our applications in a similar fashion. And this also meant we had an opportunity then tap into the customer side of things, right? We also had the opportunity to tap into the partner side of things. So when you think about go-to-market, think about the market, think about your customer, think about the partner ecosystem as well. So that I think gave us a better lens into how to think about our ICP and then make sure we're positioning our product the right way. So we did pricing and packaging testing with them. We also looked at how we should message ourselves in the market. So these are all things that your ICP can actually help shape as you're building your product so that when your product is ready, they're ready for it.
How did you do packaging and pricing testing? Was it literally different pricing pages and seeing how people react? Was it giving different sales reps different pricing points? I mean, what was the strategy?
For us, it was primarily looking at knowing that the unit metric was different from what our customers were used to buying within the product portfolio that we had. So we wanted to make sure the metric was even viable because now we're talking about data. So we're talking about data volumes as compared to applications that you're connecting. So that was a change. So first we wanted to test the metric. So we looked at what is it there in the market today. And then we gave some sample options of if you had X number of data volume, what these are the data tiers you would have. And this would be basically where our pricing benchmarks would be. And so it was testing that and seeing if we are on track in terms of the pricing metric, which was the first unit that we wanted to make sure we were getting right. And then the tiers that we were setting up. So looking at some of our customer data, looking at how partners are seeing the evolution of this space has also been helpful. And then we also tested it with the analyst to see if we are thinking about pricing the right way. Because the last thing you want is your pricing is off and then the market is not able to receive it.
Got it. Now, if you were one of the product marketers for a specific product line at Soligo, you obviously are the champion for that product. But I imagine that you had product marketers for every product line. So let me back up. Identity Matrix, we've been a lead gen tool. We're launching an analytics platform, which has a slightly different persona. How do you start to work with other product marketers to emit one brand on the same page as one another, but targeting what could be completely different ICPs?
Yeah. So we actually did a thought leadership webinar series to help first educate the market that this is a space that we are entering into, and then also give an opportunity to tap into the adjacencies, right? So Soligo being an application integration software, we were using this for our own needs. We started reaching out to our head of HR. We started reaching out to our head of growth and said, hey, let's share our stories. Because at the end of the day, our stories are what our customers are also looking to solve. So that, I think, became an opportunity to work cross-functionally across different teams and also connect the dots between the art of the possible, what we could look at to do with when it comes to data and data warehouses and things like that. So I think that was a great way to connect those dots and also help kind of build that continuous learning methodology, right? Tools and technologies continuously change in the market. So how do you stay relevant? And then how do you help educate the market where next is? So that, I think, was our opportunity.
Fair enough. Now, you're selling a technical product, or when you were marketing a technical product to technical people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of marketers take that and run with it from a technical perspective. They're selling features and objective functionality,
Right.
but they forget that they're still selling into a person, even if they're not the most emotional people compared to a marketer, right?
Yep.
Emotionless. How did you try to communicate the story of Soligo and what you were doing for a technical product to technical people without sounding overly cheesy, for example?
I think it came down to our persona interviews, right? I can tell all the awesome things that the products and functionality can be, but it doesn't really matter unless it's meaningful for my persona. So we step back and try to understand two things. What keeps them up at night, right? So understand what's top of mind, what are their priorities for their business, and what would the customer need today versus what they would need 5 years from now. So how can we continue to be relevant? And I think changing that story and that narrative was important for us. So that goes back to what you were talking about, the persona, the ICP, really tying it back to making that the story and the outline of here is a hero, here is somebody who's trying to solve a specific obstacle or challenge that they have today. And we can come in and be one of the solutions to help them achieve what they want to achieve, right? So I always think about that buyer journey and making sure that we're connecting the dots from your awareness, consideration, decision stages, but then also thinking about that advocacy side, right? So connect the dots between those things and then make sure you are in alignment within your own internal teams and stakeholders to understand this is who we're going after. This is the pain point we're solving. Our story, our narrative, our go-to-market campaigns, everything should be aligned, right? So I always think about, are there specific areas we could tap into? So it could be industries we could tap into. It could be use cases we could tap into and then position that, right? Like, so the HR use case that I was telling you as part of the thought leadership we were doing, we saw an opportunity where connecting data warehouses to our solution was helping us expand some of the use cases that we have, from employee onboarding to making sure there's an HR chatbot that's solving some of the challenges, providing input and output, how our customers want to receive that information, right? And so that, I think, changes and makes that end-to-end customer journey more realistic and not have user and buyer personas sitting as silos. So I think that was the shift we saw.
Got it. Makes perfect sense. Now, This is me being selfish. I'm genuinely curious. So product owners are going to be focused on like user retention, NPS scores, etc. Marketing is focused on leads and opportunities generated. Some of the more I call better marketers are focused on CAC and so forth. The CRO definitely cares about CAC and contract value, etc. What are the top 2-3 metrics that product marketers should be focused on?
If you had top 2, 3 metrics, I think the top one that I would like to focus on is customer lifetime value, especially with B2B SaaS, right? It's a metric that maybe we might not have direct access to, but it's good to know what that is and how we can work towards it. That's one, because that ties to making sure you're not just selling a product for product's sake, right? So the sales team is selling products and we're actually converting them to customers and getting them to adopt the product and solutions that we have, and then driving some of that active usage. So they become your advocates, your customers, so your customer lifetime value. I think if I had one metric, that would be it across the company. Everybody should be aligned to that, is my belief. But at the same time, I could look at go-to-market metrics, right? Like what are my win rates? When I think about win-loss and different aspects that play a big role in what we do. Maybe I could be thinking about the sales enablement function and then thinking about sales confidence as a metric. Is what I'm putting out there, whether it's the pitch decks, the content, the assets, collateral, resources that we have created, training and enablement we have created, the sales able to deliver and achieve what they are trying to do with everything that we provide. So that could be another one to look at. So there are different ways, but I think if you pick 3, customer lifetime value, win rates, and sales confidence.
I'm a very binary, just black and white person.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going to be responsible for something, I want to be the one responsible, right?
Yeah.
So as the founder, revenue, getting funds for, fundraising from VCs, etc. Like it's binary. Did I do it or did I not? And the problem with product marketing, based on what you just said, is that you're reliant on product. You're relying on devs building crap at the right time and with the right speed. You're relying on sales using all of your enablement. You're relying on sales enablement, etc. How do you tackle that? Because even if you're doing your job the best in the entire market, it's not all on you. So how do you think about that?
Well, that's where I bring shared OKRs into the mix, right? So I'm a big believer of objectives and key results, and I think it has helped make my role and my team's function and what we do to be more relevant within the organization. So I have 3 objectives that I set. One aligned to the customer, one aligned to the employee and the team, and the third one aligned to the business. So if I can align my shared OKRs along those lines, then I am in the right space, right? That also makes it difficult for product marketing, because at the end of the day, you could do everything right and then everything could still go wrong. Yep. Just because you have so many dependencies. Just like I said, that 50% of product marketing work is project management. The other 50% is a lot of the soft skills. It's the collaboration. How do we work with different teams? How do we inspire different teams to create what we need to create? How do we influence them? How do we drive impact? I think that is a much bigger part. And that's why product marketing is so difficult, just because every team, every person has a different way of thinking about product marketing. So whenever I start a new role, I have these 5 questions that I go as part of my one-on-one intros. And I try to understand the vision. I try to understand what each individual team's OKRs are. What are some resources that we have? How do we function together as a team? And then I always like to ask the last question, if you were in my role, where would you want me to focus on, right? So I have a list of like messaging, positioning, product launches, analyst, sales enablement, competitive intelligence. As of date, I've done this through all the jobs that I've done so far. I am yet to find a consistent answer, right? Everybody has a different expectation. So if you know what their expectations are, then your conversations and your communication becomes more seamless. Hopefully, but at least you're on the right track, right? So that's how I think of it. And it's making sure you have that stakeholder and leadership alignment. That's where I've spent a lot of my time and resources in learning That's a lot of what I share on my Substack as well, right? How do we make sure we get that alignment? Because at the end of the day, if we don't have that, nothing else matters.
Love it. Not a position I want to be in, but love the answer. Like I said, I'm a little too black and white. My wife's not
I'm
into
sure
it either.
we would wish to be black and white, but we know that's not real. So being realistic with the unrealistic aspects of it, I think we are getting there. Yeah.
Fair enough. Here's my last question for you. So enough podcasts say use AI in marketing. Well, yeah, no kidding.
Mhm.
And the go-to is LLMs for SEO and whatnot, right?
Mhm.
How do you see AI changing product marketing specifically?
So I want to say it is a game changer for us, right? There's never enough time, resources, or budget to do what we want to do. And I think I've leveraged AI in a lot of the work that I've been doing in this past year, primarily just to rethink how we work, right? And I'll re-emphasize that, right? Rethink how we work. So a lot of product marketing, we spend time collecting data, analyzing data, making sure we have the right target audience, making sure we are thinking about speaking the customer language. I was putting together the data warehouse web page and I said, okay, I'm going to create my web copy. I'm going to plug it into ChatGPT and say, does this web page resonate with a chief data officer, with a BI analyst? And I got responses saying, yep, these are some areas that you have been crystal clear. This is good. These are some areas, or maybe add a little more detail here. That kind of feedback I never had before, right? So it changes how you operate. It gives you an assistant, is one way to think of it. But it's also making sure that you're not just creating things based on your understanding and based on the context that you have. Your context is now expanded, and that context, I think, adds a lot of value. So I've leveraged it for looking at competitive intelligence stuff. I've leveraged it for thinking about what is the market and what are the customer needs. So when I think about my persona, where do I find these persona? If my ecosystem is small, now my ecosystem is the whole world. I can figure out where these personas are, what podcasts are they listening to, or where do they read information, what events are they attending, so that we can be there, right? So it gives you a lot more of that insight. And I think that's where these AI powered tools have been helpful, right? Yes, helping trim down content, going from 300 word to saying, okay, I just need you to condense this to 100 word works. But at the same time, you still have to validate it. Oftentimes it doesn't work. It loses the essence of what you're trying to convey. And then you need to backtrack it. Knowing what kind of questions to ask, what prompts to put in is key, but it's also shifting how we think about your customer experience. It's shifting how we think about connecting the dots between product sales, marketing, and customer success. So I think it frees up a lot of your time of the mundane routine tasks, but it also gives you opportunities to get a little innovative, get more creative, and really do the things that you enjoy. So why not leverage it to the best you can?
Fair enough. Well, Div, this is awesome. I really appreciate it. We try to keep these, 20, 30 minutes. This is perfect. I know you're going to say LinkedIn, but where should people connect with you?
LinkedIn, if you want to get creative, you can follow me on a YouTube or Instagram. There isn't shortage of resources where you can find me. You can just Google search my name. You should be able to find me there too. Thank you so much, Stephen, for this opportunity.
Absolutely. Appreciate having you. Take care.
Thank you. Take care.